Okay, I thought I'd do a quick video here. I'm starting to go through um, post-production on audio for Laurel Wreath, a short film that we will be releasing beginning of this year. Um, and I'm using Logic Pro to do this, just because it's the DAW that I'm using most often these days. Um, so I've set up essentially my template instead of using um, a spotting sheet. I'm kind of learning this as I go. So um, normally, I think people would use a spotting sheet to queue up all these different uh, pieces of audio, sound. I'm just doing it here in the DAW itself. So I've created a blank session, imported a rough cut of the film. So I have that up here. It's my reference track. And then I've created um, some track stacks down here, three different groups, the ambience, foley, and sound effects. And so within each of these stacks, I've got the different tracks. I've gone through and done the ambience so far. And I've just created blank audio regions here. um, Quick tip on how I did that. Um, I don't know if there's maybe a more formal way of doing that in Logic. Essentially, I just took a piece of audio that I had here, cut a little section here, put it at the beginning, cut a little section there, put it at the end, joined that audio. And so Logic just creates empty space in between that. So then I trimmed off the portions that I used, essentially just leaving me the middle. So then I've got, this region that's longer than my entire film, that's just empty space, silence. So these are just markers indicating where I need to go back in and place sounds once I've recorded Foley or gathered the sound effects assets, um, or cleaned up the room tones, that kind of stuff. So that's my plan here. No idea uh, how this jives against industry norms or best practices, but this is my first time doing it, and this makes sense to me. So this is how I'm going to proceed. Um, I've done the ambient tracks here already, just again, just placing markers for that. So I've got uh, the all the ambient stuff is green. Actually, let me color that. Um, Foley stuff is this blue, sound effects will be purple. So all my tracks in the Foley will be blue, all my tracks in sound effects will be purple, right? So what I've got here for the ambience, the darker green are interior, the lighter green are exterior. I've got my bedroom room tone here for this portion of the movie. So if I double click and open a movie window here, you can kind of see as I scroll through, that's the bedroom, right? And then we're going to switch to an ambient library scene with room tone number one for the library. We switch over to the library scene. And then we've got an ambient park bench. That's lighter green because it's an exterior. So if I scroll through that, you see now we switch to this exterior scene, another exterior scene, which is a church courtyard, back to an interior scene. And that is, again, um, I'm doing all the cue work and the production and editing on all the sound stuff. So right now, these notes only need to make sense to me. So I've got things like this library room tone number one again, because we're back in the same library, same section of the library. Then you'll see I've got library room tone number two, right? And that's out over here. So it's in the library, same library, but we're in a different section of the library. So that room tone is going to be slightly different just because we're in a different area of the building. So that's how I'm approaching this. I've just finished marking dropping all the markers for the ambient section. So now I'm getting ready to go in and start on the Foley stuff. And for me, um, the definitions or the differences between Foley and sound effects that I'm using are roughly, Foley are sounds where people are interacting with things, so clothes rustling, footsteps, that kind of stuff, whereas sound effects would just be replacing, doors closing, books landing on a table, that kind of thing. A little bit more significant sounds from the sound effects than the Foley, in my opinion, in terms of the sound. Foley, obviously, a little bit more involved in terms of producing those sounds. One of the things that we did when we recorded this, we did production on the film, we recorded the scratch audio, and a lot of the Foley from the scratch audio is actually really good. So I'm going to isolate those portions of audio, clean those up, and essentially use those as Foley as opposed to having to actually, you know, build a makeshift Foley studio and go in and record that stuff. One caveat, I will be using some software, uh, virtual instruments to create some of the Foley stuff, as well as some of the sound effects. And I'll do videos when I get to that. I'm going to be using UVI um, plugins. They've got several different plugins geared towards sound design and Foley work. So I thought I'd share this real quick in progress, and I will come back and do another one as I get further in.